I often wonder if there is a certain age when the world stops feeling magical and starts feeling menacing. For me, that shift began around 13. We were latchkey kids, powered by pizza and bicycle chains, and our kingdom was the local suburban park, especially after sunset. Back then, that park felt like the last safe place on earth. My buddy, Sam, and I, along with our friend, Mike, had spent the evening cycling around, eventually settling in our usual spot, the top of the old wooden playground. It had a great view and kept us out of range of any nosy neighbors. We'd been there maybe 30 minutes when Sam suddenly went rigid. "Hold up," he whispered. "Did you guys hear that?" We listened hard. Silence. Then, a few minutes later, we all heard a distinct thump on the structure below us. It sounded solid, like someone heavy had jumped onto the deck, but there was nobody there. We tried to laugh it off, blaming squirrels or the settling wood, but the air felt brittle. And then came the sound that actually chilled the blood in my veins. It was a voice, a tiny, reedy voice, coming not from the open area, but from inside the big, coiled metal slide. I remember creeping over and leaning into the mouth of the slide. "Is anyone stuck in there?" I called. The air in the slide amplified the response. "Are you going to catch me?" It was a toddler's voice, high and clear. My friends and I exchanged looks of sheer terror. We hadn't heard a single footstep approach or climb. I instinctively slid down to the bottom, ready to help a lost kid, but when I spilled out onto the sand, it was empty. The ground around us was flat, open, and utterly deserted. No way a child or anyone could have vanished that fast. We were gathering our bikes to bolt when we heard it again, louder this time, coming from the slide's entrance above. Catch me now." We sprinted home, my lungs burning, convinced we'd stumbled onto something supernatural. The fear should have ended when we locked ourselves in my backyard. It didn't. Not 5 minutes later, a slow, deliberate knock came from the wooden gate. We froze. "Who is it?" I choked out. A woman's voice replied, oddly cheerful and too close. "Excuse me? I just need to know where you boys had departed just now." Peeking through a crack in the fence, I saw her. Mid-40s, maybe, but the detail that haunts me still was her face. A huge, fixed, unnatural smile that didn't reach her eyes. She wasn't looking at the crack. She was already looking directly through it, right at me. We denied being at the park and finally scurried inside, shaking. That night, the voice in the slide and the woman at the gate, they felt connected, like two halves of a terrifying, unsolvable puzzle. The years passed and I forgot about the slide, but the memory of fear stayed tucked away. Fast forward to my early 20s, living in an apartment near another suburban park. It was 2018 and I was using night walks to clear my head after work. This second park was bigger, with proper paths and streetlights. One evening, an hour after sundown, I saw him. He was on a bench near the entrance, absolutely still. Head down, a dark hoodie pulled high over his face despite the summer air. I felt that familiar prickle of unease as I passed him. He wasn't looking at his phone, or the trees, or anything specific. He was looking at me. I accelerated my pace. Then I heard the sound I dreaded, footsteps behind me, perfectly mirroring mine. I would slow. They slowed. I would speed up. They sped up. It wasn't a normal gait. It was a rhythmic, almost ceremonial pace, keeping the exact same distance. I veered off the main path, pretending to take a phone call, hoping the distraction would break the spell. But when I glanced back, he was standing up, still shrouded in shadow, and following my new course. The moment I truly panicked was when I started running toward the street exit. He didn't just walk faster, he immediately broke into the same pace, maintaining the gap between us with unnerving precision. It was the movement of a predator, rushed, relentless, and completely focused. I didn't stop running until I hit the main, well-lit street. When I looked back at the park entrance, he was there, standing just at the tree line, a dark, motionless silhouette beneath the overhanging branches. He was just watching me go. Weeks later, trying to rationalize the terror, I went back in daylight. I found the bench where he'd been sitting. Someone had gouged a word into the wood, quickly and crudely. I snapped a photo, but couldn't quite make out the letters. After that, the feeling never left. I started seeing shadows move on the periphery of my vision, or unfamiliar cars parked near my apartment. He didn't have to be physically present anymore. The fear itself became the stalker, reminding me I was watched, always, just beyond my line of sight. The final time the park became a hunting ground was much more recent, only a couple of years ago. It escalated from simple creepiness to outright, tangible danger. 6 of us were hanging out late at an elevated park known as the Vista. On a foolish impulse, my friend Ken suggested we light off a few Roman candles he had in his trunk. Knowing the Vista was too exposed, we drove over to a secluded, wooded loop nearby. It was close to midnight. We started walking down the long, winding drive into the loop. It felt wrong immediately. Too many cars were parked there, lights off, settled in the dark. As we reached the cul-de-sac, a small pickup truck that had been parked behind us suddenly came to life. It didn't turn on its headlights. It just started moving, made a wide U-turn, and began to slowly creep toward us. We ducked into the sparse tree line. That's when Ken idiotically lit the Roman candle. The moment the first spark flew, the truck's high beams blinded us. The horn blared long, angry blasts, and the driver didn't hesitate. They drove over the curb, tearing across the grass, right at where we were hiding. We scattered into the woods, sprinting down a steep, uneven embankment. We weren't 30 feet into the thicket before we heard the truck doors slam. 2 men, yelling and carrying powerful flashlights, plunged into the darkness after us. Worse still, we saw more lights turn on from the parked cars in the loop. We were surrounded, hunted from the front, and with more people moving above us on the street level. We lay flat on the muddy ground, terrified and separated, listening to the crunch of footsteps getting closer. After what felt like an hour, the yelling subsided. We saw the truck pull back onto the road and drive away, but the 2 men, we never saw them leave the woods. As we cautiously regrouped, one of my friends, who had been hiding close to the path, gasped that he saw one of the pursuers clearly, and he was carrying a long, sharp object that looked like a hunting knife. The fireworks were a minor nuisance, but their reaction was one of pure, malicious pursuit. We sprinted out of the woods, taking every back road possible, knowing we had just narrowly escaped something horrific. I still can't explain the child's voice, the perpetually smiling woman, or the dark figure by the tree line. But the most terrifying thing I learned across all 3 nights is this: the quietest places are often the easiest places to hide. And sometimes the monster isn't waiting in the shadows. It's the one chasing you out of the light. Thanks for listening, and remember to subscribe for more true stories from the dark. Stay safe out there.